In a saturated age of sequels, spin-offs, and reboots galore, WALL-E stands as one of the only beloved films to be untouched from franchising, with only one movie in 2008, some DVD vignettes, and a short film starring one of its throwaway characters in its roster. Despite churning out sequels and now spin-offs to many of their other films, Pixar remains adamant on a continuation to their only WALL-E movie, with Pixar president Jim Morris stating, "WALL-E was really a love story that had its beginning, middle, and end, so we're not really planning any further stories in those worlds at this point." Still, that didn't stop other studios from taking matters into their own hands. The same year WALL-E was released, Boom Studios and Disney formed a partnership in which Boom would create and distribute graphic novels with Disney's immense catalog of IPs. The following year, new comic book titles featuring both Disney and Pixar characters were released under Boom's new children's branch, Boom Kids, which of course included WALL-E. Boom's WALL-E comics are an 8-issue miniseries set before the events of the movie, published monthly from November 2009 until June 2010. They were written by Torres and Bryce Carlson and illustrated by Morgan Luthi. While most WALL-E media nowadays tend to be recaps of the movie, the prequel comics tell a fully original story with WALL-E as the main character, detailing his early life through a series of mundane misadventures as he makes and also loses new friends. It even explains where he found his igloo cooler and how he met his pet cockroach, Hal. These days, physical copies are few and hard to come by, only being loosely available on sites like eBay or Amazon for prices going for hundreds of dollars. Their rarity led to the comics falling into utter obscurity and are now forgotten media, even amongst die-hard Pixar and WALL-E fans. Luckily, digital HD scans are readily available online, albeit via unconventional methods. So grab a snack, sit back, relax, and let's dive right into the forgotten story of the WALL-E prequel comics. Issue 0 opens on WALL-E's home truck, where a little platoon of WALL-E units emerge single file for another day of work. As the WALL-Es head out to their positions, one WALL-E gets distracted and sees something twinkling out in the distance, before being run into by another WALL-E behind him. Our WALL-E departs from the group and goes down the highway alone to follow the twinkling light, leading him to an abandoned Dinoco gas station. At the gas station, he finds the twinkling object to be an egg beater sticking out of a trash mound. WALL-E proceeds to be enamored with said egg beater. Later on, another WALL-E unit is compacting garbage when several soda cans start hitting him in the face. It's our boy WALL-E, excitingly digging through the trash, unknowingly throwing garbage at his fellow co-workers. He unearths a traffic cone and tries showing it off to his friends.
Hey, start in the—
WALL-E turns to show his cone to one of his other friends, who he calls C, like the letter C, only to find him limp and unresponsive. WALL-E deduces he's run out of power, and so recharges himself, thinking it'll also recharge C? As he goes to check on the other units, WALL-E discovers they have all mysteriously powered down as well. And checking on one of them, WALL-E accidentally pulls out their eye, proceeding to then fix him. A dust storm billows and grows. WALL-E gets distracted by a string of Christmas lights and pulls and tugs on it on top of a cliff, until he is called on by another WALL-E named Y, trying to warn him about the raging dust storm. WALL-E finally notices the storm, a bit late. Y is already at the truck, calling desperately for you. The dust storm rages into the truck, Y holding on for dear life. Just as he's about to shut the door, WALL-E comes flying in from the storm, tangled in Christmas lights, and is thrown into the truck, just in time before Y finally shuts the door. Wally's tangled against the wall and sees Y still at the door, almost somber-like. Wally sighs in relief, but Y doesn't acknowledge him. He silently treads to his cubicle and folds into his cube form, shutting down for the night. Wally is left alone. He looks up to all the other cubicles and realizes they're all empty. C, K, U, none of them are here. It's just Y and him. The next day, Wally wakes up and opens the truck. He calls for Y, but Y doesn't wake up. Wally goes on, alone. He wanders around for a bit, until his attention is caught by some rubber duckies. He follows the trail of the duckies to a billboard advertising Wally's. With a newfound sense of purpose, Wally lines up his ducks and starts his day at work. Wally constructs a trash tower next to an incinerator still producing black, toxic smoke. As the years pass and Wally works away on his tower, the incinerator eats away at the neighboring tower, shrinking its height down to half of that of the newly constructed one Wally finishes. At the end of the day, Wally treads down his tower when he notices the funnels of the incinerator puffing out fewer smoke clouds than it used to, before heading out to collect a red light bulb, Carl Fredrickson's cane, and a singing Billy Bass, the same one Eve nearly shoots at in the movie. With his collections, Wally returns home to his truck. Before entering, he looks back to the incinerator funnels now barely puffing out any smoke. And then, they stop altogether. The incinerator has stopped working, and Wally realizes that without the incinerator, the trash towers cannot be disposed of. In desperation, Wally rushes to the incinerator, climbing to the top of the half-sized trash tower the incinerator is attached to. Wally fumbles at the top before losing his balance and falling down into the incinerator. Wally wakes up in a daze. He gets up and sees an orange flame barely burning in the dark. As Wally inspects, he finds and holds up a singular red-hot piece of coal, the heat having no effect on his metal claws. Wally realizes he's trapped, and so collects the surrounding garbage into a mound ramp for him to escape. At the same time, Wally wraps the coal in trash, hoping to keep its flame alive. The trash coat burns quickly, though. By the time he makes it out, the trash coat has completely disintegrated, and the coal has stopped burning, and is left just a dusty black rock in Wally's hands. Wally admires the trinkets he collected for the day. He goes outside his truck and longingly looks up to the stars. The next day, Wally continues stacking up new towers one trash cube at a time as we follow him throughout the area. As dusk approaches, Wally finds a battery box with 2 clamps attached. And this next part is strange. He attaches the clamps onto himself and gives himself a voltage charge. I guess he's trying to recharge himself? But otherwise, Torres, what the hell are you doing here? Wally finds more battery boxes lying around, and an idea sparks in his head. Get it? Do you get it? Do you get it? He brings the boxes back to his truck and attaches them to his Christmas lights from the previous issue. After some fiddling around, Wally flips the switch and his Christmas lights finally light up. He spreads the lights all around his truck, over his collections, and we end issue 1 on Wally just taking in the simple beauty of the colorful lights. Wally stands outside a B&L supermarket parking lot at night. He looks up at the night sky, and a hail rock falls on his eye. Then more, followed by a heavy hailstorm. He frantically digs through the trash as the hail intensifies, until Wally pulls out an umbrella. He unfurls the umbrella and stands contently under the cover. All is calm, until a hail rock breaks through the fabric and the wind blows the umbrella out of Wally's hands. The storm grows worse. Wally panics. Finally makes a break for the supermarket and storms inside, sighing in relief. He sees a mirror off in the corner. He introduces himself to his own reflection, thinking it's another Wally unit. Then it dawns on him that it's just him. Wally wanders in the dark, derelict supermarket. Half-empty shelves of trash and worn-out appliances loom over the little robot. Rotting mannequins catch his eye. Eventually, Wally peeks into the frozen section, and off to the side, he sees a single igloo cooler illuminated by a soft, white spotlight. Intrigued, Wally goes and picks up the cooler, revealing a large crack piercing the ground. Suddenly, the crack expands and follows Wally. He tries getting away, but to no avail. Wally falls through the gaping hole and crashes into the sub-level of the supermarket. Wally collects himself. As he gets up, he finds himself surrounded by a colony of cockroaches. He then goes on to play with the roaches, trying to be friendly and get their attention, but they all run away from him. Wally catches a cockroach crawling into a cup. He goes to pick it up, peeks inside, and immediately dozens of cockroaches swarm all over Wally. They tickle him for a bit before they all jump off and skitter into a hole in the trash mound, disappearing from Wally's sight. Wally immediately digs through the trash, hoping to find the roaches. He digs all throughout the sublevel, but every sight turns up empty. Once again, Wally is all alone. He finds his cooler again, just as a single cockroach sneaks its way inside. He zooms throughout the sublevel, treading around the supermarket and finding his way to the exit. Just before he leaves, Wally shakes his cooler. Suspicious something's inside. Curious, Wally opens the cooler and finds it was empty, as expected. Wally looks outside. The hailstorm has stopped. He treads on out, his cooler hooked to his back, and a tiny cockroach pokes out, watching Wally down the street. A cockroach stands patiently on the ground like a dog. It's outside Wally's truck. The door motor goes off. The roach eagerly perks up, and is then crushed by the door. Wally emerges, taking in the morning sun, and sets out to work. The cockroach plucks out from under the door, all fine, and follows Wally into the city. Wally treads down a garbage-piled street, as the roach inches closer behind him. Sensing something, Wally turns around and the roach darts out from sight. Seeing nothing, Wally moves on, but the roach lingers behind. As Wally scoops up trash in his compactor, he picks up a Twinkie still unopened in its clear wrapping. The roach crawls up to his shoulder, hypnotized by Wally swaying the Twinkie. The cockroach leaps off of Wally's shoulder and scuttles into a trash mound. Wally is disappointed. Then, he reasons the cockroach is attracted to his Twinkie, and an idea comes to mind. WALLE creates a contraption with the Twinkie near a laundry basket leaning against one end of a surfboard, with the other end pointing up to WALLE atop a trash mound. The cockroach emerges and sees the Twinkie. WALLE anticipates. The roach comes up to the Twinkie, and WALLE unleashes a bowling ball from his compactor, and the ball slams on the surfboard end, launching the basket high in the air and landing right on top of the cockroach. WALLE celebrates, but the cockroach just slips out through the open handle. WALLE sets up yet another contraption to catch the cockroach. The roach emerges and approaches the Twinkie inside a pizza box. On cue, WALLE shakes the slide, sending a gold trophy sliding down, hitting a gnome on a skateboard, which zooms to a set of boxes stacked like dominoes that one by one fall and close the pizza box lid on the cockroach. After the action, WALLE inches to the box. He timidly picks it up and peeks through the barely open lid, only to find the cockroach is gone. WALLE frantically tosses the other boxes in the air, desperately looking for the roach. But it's no use. Dejected, he picks up his Twinkie and treads on. Alone. WALLE approaches his truck, and just as he's about to go in, he sees a tiny shadow in the doorway. It was the cockroach, waiting for him. WALLE is ecstatic. He goes up and brings the cockroach to his face, finally happy to have a friend again after all these years. And that is how WALLE met his pet and best friend, Hal. WALLE shows Hal around his new home. He shows him his collections, like his ducks and his singing bass. WALLE then pulls out the Twinkie, which Hal dances in joy to. WALLE sets Hal and the Twinkie on a shelf before zooming off. Then, music is heard coming from around the corner. WALLE comes back to pick up Hal, and the two of them watch WALLE's favorite movie together. Alright, so far issues 0 to 3 have been following a simple, episodic format, telling inconsequential stories of WALLE navigating the abandoned city and coming to terms with his loneliness. Issues 4 to 7 take a huge turn in plot as we enter the 4-part story arc, Out There, which switches out writers J. Torres with Bryce Carlson for the rest of the series. Carlson confirms this arc takes place years before the previous issues, and is set during the last year of Operation Cleanup when the humans were scheduled to return. There's cliffhangers, a big bad villain, and a new original character that is out of this world. Strap in for the 4-part series finale, Out There. We open in space as the Axiom flies into view. The unseen captain on board makes their morning announcement. Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to day 1811 aboard the Axiom. As the captain reads off the daily updates, a woman and her children look out the window. The woman looks out into the stars, hope in her eyes. Operation Cleanup is near completion, and our 5-year cruise will be ending right on time. Hope you enjoy the rest of your time on the Axiom as we prepare to return home. WALLE looks up to the sky, the wind softly blowing dust across his view. Just then, WALLE hears a noise. Intrigued, he goes to check it out. After wandering a bit, a mug falls in front of WALLE. He turns and looks around, and his gaze stops at a dirty cap sitting on a trash mound. Suddenly, a head pops up from under the cap. Another WALLE. The WALLE, who will now be referred to as Cap, looks around with WALLE and excitedly taps his shoulder. WALLE turns to Cap's direction and sees another WALLE unit hiding behind some washers. The yellow-eyed WALLE comes out and greets WALLE and Cap to a game of hide-and-seek. Soon, WALLE finds himself hanging amongst his friends, when an ominous shadow looms over them, and the other WALLEs become frightened. A ginormous, bulky WALLE variant towers over WALLE and his friends, staring down angrily at them. He's different from the WALLEs on board the Axiom. He's far less friendly and more intimidating, appearing to be the ruthless boss of the WALLEs. He's known as Bull-E. That's actually not his official name, I just read it on an Amazon review and thought it was fitting. Bull-E reaches his hand out to the group. As Cap treads back in fear, Bully reaches out his finger, tapping Cap on the shoulder. Upon contact, Cap shuts down and goes limp. Bully pushes Cap's body away, leaving Wally unable to do anything but wave his friend goodbye. The day is long and hard. Dozens upon dozens of WALLE units work tirelessly scooping, compacting, and stacking trash. Keep in mind, this is set before issue 0 when they all shut down, so all the WALLEs are still fine and functional. Our WALLE is working away by himself when he gets a tap on the shoulder. Another WALLE in a black, oversized suit coat greets himself. He opens his coat to reveal items to trade: a computer mouse, a spatula, and even an unopened soda can. Wally's intrigued. He reaches for the soda can, but accidentally punctures it with his claw hands, spraying soda everywhere. Wally trots away awkwardly. That evening, Wally and his friends are gathered around with their red boxes that are definitely not igloo coolers. Looks like they're having lunch, but actually they're showing off some of the cool trinkets they found while working. One Wally with a broken eye, Popeye, pulls up a red lipstick cap. Everyone's impressed. Just as Popeye is admiring their lipstick, it is suddenly pulled from their grasp. Bully appears overhead with the lipstick in hand. Instinctively, all the Wallies close their boxes. Bully opens a metal shelf from his chest, throwing the lipstick in and locking it in his chest. Bully storms off, and Popeye lowers their head, dejected. Sorry. After a solemn silence, Wally decides to cheer Popeye up. With a slinky! And clattering teeth. Wow! They don't work. Finally, Wally gets another idea. He takes out his own eye and gives it to Popeye. Popeye is flattered. A line of Wallies tread down a trash tower when one of them indirectly kicks a plunger down the slope. Below, Wally treads along with some trash and treasures when the plunger gets stuck to his eye. Wally squirms and tussles trying to get the plunger off. The other Wallies come down to his aid until he's able to pop it off himself. Dizzy, Wally looks up and sees what appears to be something falling from the sky. The other Wallies see it too. But before they could comment on it, Bully appears behind them. One by one, Bully deactivates each of the Wallies with a tap of his finger, all except one who leaves a plunger behind. Wally runs far and fast down the valley, following the steaming trail left behind by the falling object. His momentum stops when he trips and is flung down a large crater. Wally clambers on his hands, and looking up, his head shifts in shock. In front of him was a gargantuan metal rocket ship, miraculously landed upright, towering high over the mesmerized robot. Steam bursts out of an oval door at the bottom of the rocket. Wally steps back. A man in a high-tech spacesuit emerges out the hatch door. Standing tall and ominously with a large helmet covering his face, he appears utterly alien, the likes of which Wally had never seen before. The spaceman stops in front of Wally. Wally prepares himself. Then, he removes his helmet. It's a human. Hey there, little buddy. Wally's surprised and fidgets his hands. The man laughs along to Wally's erratic behavior. He seems friendly and charismatic. Oh, be my guest. So, what do they call you, little buddy?
Wally.
Wally. I dig it. I'm Andy. Sorry I crashed so close. Ooh! Guess we have something in common. Say, you seen anyone else around? Before Wally could answer, he detects something. Danger. He pulls Andy away, and the two take cover behind a trash mound. Just then, Bully storms in, inspecting the crashed rocket. He pulls out the lipstick he took from Popeye and uses it to mark a giant red X on the side of the rocket. After that, Bully struts off out of sight. Wally and Andy sigh in relief. Who the heck was that guy? Bully. Yeah, I thought so. What was he doing here? Huh. I don't even know where here is. Where is everyone? I guess a lot really changes in 7 years. I knew we had a trash problem, but... oh boy. Now we have a bigger problem. I'm starving. Let's hope that thing still works. Wally and Andy approach a rundown truck atop a trash mound protruding over the side. They climb their way inside, and Andy rambles about food or whatever. He checks the glove compartment looking for the keys, but Wally has a different idea. He picks up some torn wires and welds them back together. How about some tunes, little buddy? Andy plays some music coming from the truck radio and sings along to the song. The open road is all I know. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Dee-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-dee-dee-doo-doo-doo-dee-dee-doo. Open road is all I know. Sit back, relax. Later on, Wally and Andy are sleeping in the truck. Wally wakes up and climbs his way to the steering wheel, pretending like he's driving. Wally looks back at Andy still snoring, deciding whether or not to wake him. Wally hesitates, then accidentally cuts the wires underneath, unleashing the brakes. The truck veers forward at high speed. Wally panics, scrambling what to do. They crash through a mound, trash flying and tires bouncing everywhere. The truck won't stop. Wally sighs. Then he sees the truck heading straight for the edge of a cliff. Huh? I'll save us, little buddy! Andy takes charge and grabs hold of the steering wheel. His finger huddles around the dashboard until he pulls down a lever. Outside, wings spread out from both sides of the truck. Wally and Andy brace for impact. Then, the truck glides gracefully across the ground, safe and sound. Wally and Andy laugh off the tension. They land on the ground and stabilize the truck. All is safe. Wait, what's that? Andy gets out of the truck and looks up. A static voice comes up.
Too much garbage in your face? There's plenty of space out in space!
It's a commercial for the Axiom. Andy watches in silence as the commercial advertises a luxurious cruise in space, where everyone else is in, having fun. All of humanity migrating into the cosmos, while Andy watches their bliss alone, left behind. I can't believe this. Everyone's gone? And I thought space was lonely. Now I'm the last man on Earth? Wally looks up to Andy, concerned. He taps on his chest button, and Andy's song plays from his speakers. Andy smiles down at Wally, who holds up a Twinkie for him. Andy gladly accepts it. And so, Andy stands tall and proud with Wally by his side and chewing on the Twinkie. They get back into the truck and drive off into the sunset, and with a mission. That's right, Wally. We're gonna find my family. The next day, Andy parks the truck outside a decrepit house completely buried in trash. Wow, I barely recognize it. This used to be my home. We need a clue. Andy goes off and digs through his old belongings. Meanwhile, Wally wanders around finding a box of toys. He pulls out a cup and ball toy, then pulls out a lipstick pen, thinking back to Popeye and their lipstick. Suddenly, it's pulled out of his hand. What are you doing? No one said you could touch that. You can't just walk into someone's home and start taking things that don't belong to you. Listen, I'm sorry, little buddy. I didn't mean to snap at you. It's just... this is all I have left of my family. WALLE looks to the side and pulls a picture frame up to Andy. Andy smiles and takes the frame. It's pictures of Andy and his family. A young boy, baby girl, and his wife. The same woman from the opening of issue 4. I miss you guys. I promise, I'll find a way to get to you. If only there was a way for me to know where you are. WALLE comes back holding a pile of letters. Andy takes one of them and opens it to reveal a brochure of the Axiom, along with acceptance letters of the wife and kids' placement on the Axiom. Andy now knows his next step. Whew. Looks like we did it, little buddy.
Yeah.
Boy, that's good. Thanks, little buddy. Can't work on an empty stomach. Now we're cooking. Throughout the night, WALLE and Andy work together repairing the ship. WALLE uses his laser while Andy uses a blowtorch. It takes them all night, but they finally finish. With repairs done, there's only one more thing to do. Sleep! Outside! In the open! I'm sure that won't lead to any problems. It leads to problems immediately. As the two snore back to back, a large shadow casts over them. It's Bully. He's been looking for WALLE for the past few days, and now he finds him powered down and defenseless. Bully inches closer. It's a beautiful day for a launch. Hey, little buddy. Little buddy? WALLE? WALLE! Andy gets up and calls Wally's name, not calling him his little buddy this time. Then his attention is caught by something on the ground. A lipstick, the same one belonging to Bully. Andy notices the giant red X on his rocket, and figures out who took him. I'm coming, little buddy. Back at the dig camp, all the WALLE units are put in cages half buried underneath trash. It turns out Bully turned tyrannical and has been abusing his power, locking up all the WALLEs, in which our WALLE sits alone and frightened. He plays Andy's song, hoping he's alright and wondering if he'll ever see him again. Just then, a commotion stirs outside. WALLE looks out and sees a group of WALLEs running away, screaming from some threat. WALLE tenses. Then, his eyes light up. Andy! Indeed it is Andy, charging in with his helmet on and his blowtorch blazing all around. With the torch, he burns a hole through WALLE's cell and kicks it down. WALLE! Andy! Reunited, the two embrace in a comforting hug. WALLE holds him tightly. Come on, let's blow this popsicle stand. Andy leads WALLE out of the camp, but WALLE stops. He looks back at his friends, still locked up and terrified. Are those your friends, little buddy? WALLE looks up, his puppy eyes staring deep into Andy. Andy hesitates. Huh? Suddenly, Bully returns and sees WALLE and Andy in the open. He turns furious. Andy frantically looks around and sees a magnet crane vehicle just a few feet away. Andy books it to the crane with WALLE racing behind. Bully chases after them. Just as Andy reaches the crane, Bully swoops WALLE in his arms and treads off fast. WALLE cries out, Andy! Oh, no you don't! Andy scrambles into the crane. He turns on the engine and grabs hold of the controls. Andy steers the crane around and drives forward, chasing after Bully. He activates the magnet, and below the cages shatter and fly up in pieces towards the swinging magnet, freeing the imprisoned Wallies. The crane speeds up, catching up to Bully. Now panicking, Bully treads on faster, and Andy swings the magnet over him. Hey, Bully! Need a lift? Bully waddles angrily against the magnet as the other Wallies laugh. Andy finds Wally, safe and sound. You okay, little buddy? I found something. Andy shows Wally the lipstick, and Wally's eyes light up. He swipes the lipstick out of his hand and zips over to Popeye, giving him back his prized possession.
Yay!
Back at the rocket ship, Andy hammers away on last-minute touch-ups. When he's finished, he turns to Wally. Well, little buddy, looks like this is it. You're a good guy, Wally. Real class act. Andy... Yep. I'm gonna miss you too, little buddy. With the rocket finally fixed, Andy hops on board and seals the doors shut. So close, yet so far away. Wally goes around the ship towards the smoking area. He opens up a panel and pulls out a tiny computer chip completely burnt to a crisp, looking like a black potato chip. Well, little buddy, looks like we need a motherboard. Wally and Andy arrive at an abandoned city. B&L billboards and advertisements surround their every direction. They exit their truck and wander into a building. Inside, they begin their search for a new motherboard, then immediately find it. And as they exit the building, a strange, low sound starts to build up. The hum of a large engine echoes throughout the city. The wind picks up. Wally and Andy look up to the sound source, and Andy gasps. I can't believe what I'm seeing. I need to get to that ship. And unfortunately, that's all the available issues there are. While there are a total of 8 issues in the whole series, the website I was reading them on only had the first 7 issues, and for the life of me, I couldn't find a full digital copy of that last issue anywhere online. The closest I could get was a website hosting only the first 5 pages, and a blog post from 2010 reviewing the issue when it first came out. So it seemed like the full issue 7 of the WALLE comics was lost to the internet. Until now! I managed to find a physical copy of the entire Out There arc, which converts all of the issues into chapters, including issue 7, which is now chapter 4 in this book. I bought it used on Amazon for about $35, right after which that price skyrocketed to over $1,000. So, is it worth that kind of money? Is issue 7 a worthy ending to the WALLE comics? What's the deal with that mysterious starship, and what becomes of Andy? Let's find out once and for all. Come on, little buddy! We need to catch that ship! Andy and Wally run down the street as the mysterious starship is preparing to launch. Time is running out. The ship's engines roar loud. Dust blows everywhere. Andy starts sweating, his eyes locked on the ship, on his new ticket to his family. Then, Andy abrasively stops, and his face turns pale. No! It can't be. Please, don't let this be a hologram. Hologram? Hologram.
What? Oh, come on. What a cop-out.
Well, whatever. Upon this devastating, really infuriating reveal, Andy falls into despair. It's not fair. I just want to get off this damn rock. Wally holds up his busted chip to Andy, which doesn't look like a black potato chip anymore. Andy remembers his replacement chip and his original get out. You're right, little buddy. We can do it. Suddenly, an alarm blares off of Wally's chest. A dust storm is approaching. Wally's on high alert, but Andy is confused. The wind picks up, and Andy looks behind him and finally sees the storm approaching. Not good. Caught in the storm, Andy drops his replacement chip, and the pair is engulfed in thick, dusty debris. No. Andy panics. He pushes through the wind, deep into the storm, desperately searching for the chip in the swirling dust. Where is it? Where's the computer chip? We have to find that chip! Wally's like, nah, fuck that, and grabs Andy by the hand, dragging him through the storm towards the truck. But I have to find that chip! Go on, little buddy! Leave me! Save yourself! Despite his pleas, Wally pushes Andy into the truck. Andy's eyes are closed shut. The dust got into his eyes. He's now temporarily blind and can't drive the truck. So, Wally starts the engine himself and drives off through the storm. The wind pushes against them, and paper and debris obscures their vision. Suddenly, sunlight seeps through the dust. An opening. Wally braces himself and punches on the gas, accelerating the truck hard through the fast winds. Little buddy? Whoa! Whoa! Where are we going? Wally and Andy pull up to Wally's home truck. Wally leads him inside and goes straight for the back, rummaging through his stuff. Andy follows behind. Wow, what is this place? Oh, I haven't seen one of these in forever. What the heck is this? Hold on. Are you saying you've never seen a bowling ball before? Actually, for real? You know what a slingshot and a Polaroid camera is? Items most kids today don't know about, but you don't know what a fucking bowling ball is? I'm sorry, are you serious? Wally digs frantically in the back, trash flying behind him. This place is amazing, little buddy. But what are we doing here? Wally doesn't answer. His attention is focused solely on the trash in front of him. He's looking for something important. Alright, I'll just keep on talking to... myself. I felt that. Andy wanders off and finds the aforementioned Polaroid camera. As he's checking out the camera, Wally comes up from behind and accidentally bumps into Andy, causing his finger to slip and snap a bright light on the two. I bet this one's gonna be a keeper. It's a keeper. What is it, little buddy? We did it, Wally. I don't know how, but we did it. Andy. I'm gonna miss you, little buddy. You're easily the coolest robot I know. If it wasn't for you, I'd never see my family again.
The open road is all I know. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
You're the best friend I've ever had, little buddy. I'll never forget you. You'll be with me everywhere I go. I got something for you, too. Andy reaches into his suit and pulls out a lipstick. The lipstick from the house, not the one Wally gave to Popeye. I want you to have this, little buddy. The two exchange their last looks at each other. Andy gets up and walks to his rocket, stopping at the hatch door and waving Wally goodbye one last time. Wally, too, waves goodbye. Goodbye, Wally. And with that, the rocket lifts into the air, rising higher and higher into the sky as Wally watches his best friend, the only human he's ever personally known, ascend into his next journey, a journey he will never know. And that is the end of the WALLE comics. As the WALLE comics came to an end, so too did Boom's license deal with Disney. After acquiring Marvel Comics in 2009, Disney switched away from Boom to publish new comics alongside Marvel. As a result, Boom's Pixar lineups were discontinued by the end of 2010. Marvel reprinted some of those comics until 2012. After that, Boom Kids rebranded into Kaboom and later went on to publish new original comics, as well as form licenses with other companies, predominantly with Cartoon Network. As for the WALLE comics, they would find a new temporary home in the book company Joe Books, who repackaged the first 4 WALLE issues, now dubbed Recharge, into their 800-page one-volume collection of the entire Boom Pixar runs titled Disney Pixar Comics Treasury. Since then, the WALLE and other Pixar comics have seen no further reprints and likely ever won't for the foreseeable future. However, now that they own 20th Century Fox, who bought a minority stake in Boom in 2017, Disney also owns that stake in Boom, meaning they could pick up their original partnership and continue on with both old and new comics. Maybe we'll get that Eve spin-off Bryce Carlson offhandedly pitched. One can only hope. There are a few Easter eggs to other Pixar films in the WALLE comics, mainly in the Recharge issues, which references Cars, Up, Monsters Inc., and Toy Story. It could be argued that the astronaut's name is a reference to Andy from Toy Story, though that's just speculation on my part and was never confirmed. Speaking of which, Andy calls WALLE his little buddy 29 times throughout his entire appearance, while only calling him by his name 9 times. And with that, thank you for watching. What did you think of the WALLE comics? Did you love them? Hate them? Do you think WALLE needs a prequel or a sequel? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like this video and share it with someone who also loves WALLE. I'll see you when I see you.